We're back again in Revelation 20. Pretty big chapter, really. So we've seen that Satan's bound for this 1,000 years, which is now. He's vicious. He's a vicious dragon. He's a vicious serpent, but he can't stop the gospel going out. That's really what we're seeing. Christ will reign. He is reigning, and we're in verse 7. When the 1,000 years was over, Satan will be released from his prison and will go out to deceive the nations in the four corners of the earth, Gog and Magog, and to gather them for battle. In number, they are like the sand on the seashore. They marched across the breadth of the earth and surrounded the camp of God's people, the city he loves. But fire came down from heaven and devoured them, and the devil who deceived them was thrown into the lake of burning sulphur, where the beast and the false prophet had been thrown. They will be tormented day and night forever and ever.
Mm. One of the things that we've seen a few times so far in Revelation is the surprise that things which look so powerful can be undone in such a short space of time. When Babylon, we spent a long time looking at Babylon, and it's like, woe to her, in 1 hour her doom has come. You know, they keep stressing the shortness of the destruction and how surprising that is given how powerful the enemy was. And this is the kind of thing we've got going on. So we're at the end of the 1,000 years, and it does seem to be that the 1,000 years has been the present reign of Christ and his people, but it does seem to be that as we approach the return of Christ and the great white throne and the eternal creation or the eternal damnation, there is going to be, it's building up to some kind of climactic war where there is going to be perhaps an intensification of wickedness and a kind of intensification of persecution upon the church and maybe other things as well. And so that's what we've got here. Satan is coming out, and he's going out into the world, and he's trying to rally his troops, you know, from the four corners to say, come on lads, let's all get together, one last push, let's see what we can do. And then they're marching across the breadth of the earth, as many as sand on the seashore, and that's quite a it's quite a frightening image, isn't it? It reminds me of the sort of, Jurassic Park, where the very first one, where you hear T-Rex before you see him. It's the
water,
the little water, and it's boom, boom, and it's just the sound of the marching coming across. I know it's picture language, but that's the kind of thing, isn't it? And so, the enemies are out and they're amassing.
It's interesting how they're doing that, though, isn't it? Because I think, I like your illustration of the Tyrannosaurus Rex, and then you see the thing in the water. But how he's doing it here is by deception. Yeah. It's lying, isn't it? Yeah. Because that's what he's really good at. Yeah. And so he's spreading out. The trouble is with lies, you don't necessarily see the water, do you? He's spreading his lies, and we're imbibing lies. Yeah. So he somehow, for some reason, Christ says, "Okay, you can go and spread your lies." Mm. But as you say, it's not for long. It's a short time. Mm. We don't know how long that is. I know people have theories about the length of time, but it does seem to be all over before he's allowed to do, to go on for too long. Yeah, it does. And I think that, is amazing, because even that little word "released," he can't break out. No. No. God has to let him out. Yeah. And, similar to the story of Job, exactly. He's allowed to go this far and no further, and so the fact that he's released, and then the fact that the judgment falls and just wipes out this army instantly, shows everything we saw in Revelation 4. The Lamb is on the throne, And this will be the end of Satan, and all his deceit and all his lies and all his false building of kingdoms and all that he's been allowed to do on a chain, but he's been allowed to do. All the wickedness and evil is now thrown into the abyss, and he's going to be tormented day and night forever and ever. That's the end. That's the end. That's the end of it, and that is really very good news. Yeah, it is. And if you think about the big stories that people love, they reflect this sort of thing, don't they? That there is an end to wickedness. There is a new start. where people can live in peace and harmony, and their gifts can grow, and there's no deceit and so forth. There is a sort of longing for this written within us, and that we write in our stories.
That's right. And it's just sort of struck me a bit now, is that we've seen before this, as you were saying, tormented day and night forever and ever. And in Revelation 19, the smoke of her torment goes up forever and ever. And I wonder if the reason that is emphasised is to say, it's, as you say, it's never coming back, like forever and ever and ever. Because presumably Christians in this century and around the world today, there are times when they might have a good leader and enjoy a time of relative peace and prosperity, but just one election away could be a nightmare despot, and then everything would be awful again. Or, maybe one sort of radical persecuting group is wiped out, but just a month later another one could come up.
Yes.
And so there might be periods of up and down, but this is like when this comes forever and ever and ever, so they're never going to come back again in any form. That's it gone.
Absolutely. And I think that's the hope, isn't it, that we have. There's going to be an end to the devil, all his wicked ways, and there's going to be this new creation coming, which we're nearly there in chapter 21. So I think we'll just leave it there and